We've got an incredible panel now coming up, which is a superstar panel about the walk of game. So this is hosted by AppsFlyer's Adam Smart, and we have Antti from Small Giant Games, Mikko from Fingersoft, and Gabi from Miniclip. Can you make your way to the stage, panelists? Whilst they're doing this, I am delighted to tell you that generous souls that AppsFlyer are, they have socks for everyone who wants them. So I'm going to be coming through with my gorgeous assistant if she arrives and handing socks across. So don't be troubled if a man hands socks to you. You want socks? There we go. I'm not going to do it from the stage, but I will come down. So don't be disturbed by a man handing socks out. These are your socks.
I'm always disturbed by a man carrying socks.
Okay, but I'm going to hand over to you, Adam, to manage your panelists, if that's okay, and I'm going to get out of the way.
Right, well, thanks everyone for coming. This is going to be a fantastic panel. I've been really looking forward to this.
This is what we need to do.
We've got three UA legends here with us today. And I don't think we need much of an introduction from me. So what I'd like to start with is something very, very simple. And I'd like to know what your favorite mobile game is, your go-to game of the moment. So Antti, let's start with you.
My go-to mobile game at the moment has been my mobile go-to game for a few years now, and it's Hearthstone. So the Blizzard property, fantastic game. Big fan. Get to play.
What is it about it?
I just like card games and collectible card games a lot, and it regardless of being a bit maybe past its prime in terms of years in the market, it still definitely does it for me at least.
Excellent. Mikko.
Hi everyone. My go-to game. For a long time it was Empires and Puzzles actually, but a year ago my daughter was born, so gaming has been a little bit less since then. So now it's been just hyper casuals, mainly game called Woodaku lately.
Okay, and what is it about that?
Well, I don't know.
It's quick and easy to play?
Quick and easy. You can watch news, or basically watch news while you're playing and just stare at the ceiling and feel tired.
Fantastic. And Gabi?
Hi everyone. My favorite game, I guess, is Risk. I used to play a lot of strategy games when I was young, once, and yeah, I love board games. So Risk on mobile is my favorite one. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I kind of dived into the question before I went through the introductions. So why don't we do a round of introductions? Antti, let's introduce yourself.
I see you had a bit of doubt that I might not do an introduction, but I'm going to do one anyway.
Yeah.
Very good.
I was going to skip it, and then I thought, how are these guys going to know who you are? So
Yeah. Antti Paikkala is my name. I'm the head of marketing at Small Giant. I've been at Small Giant now for 5.5 years or so. Main job right now is to make sure that my team has everything they need in terms of spending as much money as we can, but in a reasonable way.
Very nice. Mikko?
Yeah, hi. My name is Mikko Kirmanen. I'm the head of user acquisition at Fingersoft. We have the Hill Climb Racing brand and IP that I'm working with, and we have some awesome games also coming up soon. Yep, head of user acquisition.
Fantastic. And Gabi?
Yeah, my name is Gabi. I'm the CMO of Miniclip, working for about 10 years in the industry, doing more or less the same. And fun fact, I just landed 3 hours ago in Helsinki, so be kind with me. I had only one coffee. So
if anyone's got any technical questions, feel free to throw them at Gabi. All right, so I'm really interested to know what the main kind of things that you're thinking about at the moment are in your role. Like, what's the sort of biggest thing that you've got, or the biggest challenge that you've got going on at the moment? Let's continue going down the line. I like this form.
Yeah, for us, the main thing is probably, like, there's basically two main things. One is connected to the other. One is, of course, privacy and changes in the industry. So both with Apple, ATT, and then coming up later is going to be Google's changes with the Privacy Sandbox. Those will both be huge changes to the industry, and ATT already has. Now they're rolling it back slightly to a more usable form in the future. But those have been a big impact on our team in terms of what we can do and knowing, more importantly, knowing what we can't do.
Yeah.
The second thing then is related to the first thing in terms of trying to find new sources, new ways of buying, new types of inventory that we maybe would not have been comfortable with a few years ago.
But are the two connected there? Like new boxes and that kind of thing along with the privacy?
They kind of are. For example, I understand that our good friends at AppsFlyer have recently introduced connected TV as a measurement source.
Indeed.
I read that in the media. And that, for example, is an example of something that we might potentially not have done still a few years ago because it's not that measurable.
Yeah.
But now, as tools have become available because of the changes in the industry, that's also something that we would need to look at least as an option. So we'll give it a shot, see if it works, if it's measurable, and then if not, then we'll obviously try something else. But that's basically it.
So trial and error at the moment, then, basically.
That's been the job for for 7 to 8 years now.
And Mikko?
Yeah, well, basically the same as what Antti just mentioned. Post-ATT, figuring out what the Scan 4 is bringing us. Can we do more after that? What happens with the Google Privacy Sandbox? What does it really mean in the longer run? But also, personally, we've been checking Japan as a market and trying to concentrate there, investigate what works, with whom to work there. So iOS and Japan. And
is Japan planned expansion, or is that as a consequence to what's happened with privacy changes and that sort of stuff? Like, is it a new plan that's come in, or is it?
Like we have a massive user base, and still Japan one of the biggest one of the biggest markets. We feel that we're just falling behind. Now, obviously, racing category might not be the easiest in Japan, but still, I think that we can do more there. Learn. It just requires knowledge, how to do stuff. You can only do so much from here, from the West, with the normal UA channels that you're using. Yeah. So local stuff there.
Interesting. Okay. And Gabi?
Yeah, iOS and ATT probably is an issue for all of us. But I think the most interesting question remains when to scale, when to slow down, and how. That's the most interesting thing to do. And ATT is nice as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I think this time we'll come back down the line. So I'll start with you, Gabi. You've all mentioned privacy. You've all mentioned ATT. Like, what has the impact been to you guys? Like, what are you actually seeing with that at the moment? What's the outcome for you?
Yeah, probably we all know that we needed to change some of the tactics that we have. Sometimes we need to consolidate campaigns and think about broader audiences when creating creatives or new ads. So I can mention a lot of things, but overall I would say that although there are a lot of changes, the UA hasn't changed a lot. Like we still have the campaigns, we still have targetings, we still have the creative. So we still have a lot of tools. As a marketing and UA person, we need to adapt. Our teams need to adapt. Yeah, it's fun. I love how the industry is evolving. Like 10 years doing the same can be fascinating, but also tiring. But I prefer to focus on the fascinating side. And yeah, it's like a chess game. You need to all the time think how to win the rest of your competitors and colleagues and friends. But yeah, overall it's fun. Yeah.
Okay. And Mikko?
We've always been Android-heavy company. So what happened with iOS, basically we were able to do good UA before that on iOS, but we realized that since we have already a massive amount of spend on the Android, we kind of started to avoid the whole thing. We pushed for the Apple search ads quite a lot, and we've gotten that to work nicely. And we are kind of following the situation still kind of carefully, testing out small stuff. But what comes with the Scan 4 is something that maybe after that we're kind of ready to really attack. But so far it's been mostly focusing on Android, focusing on Apple search ads, and that's basically it. And following what happens. Things are changing every 3 months there, so you cannot really start building huge data pipeline stuff from scratch because.
I mean, it's definitely one way of dealing with the problem is just to not use it.
Yeah, it's maybe not the best way, but that's our way. So.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's an approach.
It is an approach. Go on, Antti.
Yeah, I guess for us, it's like with doing UA on iOS has been mostly about learning about learning again everything about your game in terms of conversion values, what is actually happening in the first 24 hours, what's actually happening in the first 48 hours, and then trying to model the future. For example, in our case, we're a match RPG game, Empires and Puzzles, download free on the App Store. We're a match RPG game, and we monetize quite linearly throughout the age of the users, and therefore that means that during the first couple of days we don't really expect to monetize necessarily that heavily, because we also want to give everyone a fair chance to do what they do and get into the game. So for us that means not necessarily purchase signals, but all types of signals that you can really gather. Is it session length? Is it player progress? Watching ads, whatever they are during that very first window, that's become even more important than before. Because it's super easy to just look at your MMP data and look at ROAS, but then when you time box it and don't necessarily have that ROAS is another thing.
And so you're using all of that to tie into the conversion value?
Yeah, exactly. So for scan traffic, that's exactly what you would have to do, because that's all you have. It's basically all you have.
100%.
And if you do want to still grow your game, and we're very much in that business, then that's what we have to go with.
Okay. We're going to go down the line again this time, right? So, in terms of, it's obviously a problem for being able to monitor the installs that you're getting through, the problems with conversion value, that kind of thing. What impact has it had on re-engagement for you guys?
For re-engagement for us, fortunately, we have a very sticky user base as it is. Like the core user base has remained with us for years and years at this point. So re-engagement we haven't had to ever really focus on as a main point of our UA.
But is that because of the sort of live ops re-engagement that you're running within the game? So the sort of push notifications, emails, blah blah blah.
That too. So the sort of functional parts of CRM or whatever the tools that you mentioned, the lifecycle marketing part.
Has emphasis changed somewhat since the privacy changes to enhance the push notifications and email side of live ops essentially?
I'd say it's come more as a byproduct of as time has elapsed, our games tend not to get any younger.
Yeah.
And for us, we're in year 6 at this point, so we are still trying to find ways to continuously do that. And it just happened that the changes in privacy that the industry is going through happened at the same time. It kind of coincided. So we didn't see as much of an impact there, but it became more of a normal evolution of our game specifically.
Okay. Cool. Mikko?
In our case, I would say that we're focusing more on reinstall rather than re-engagement, like when we're just creating cohorts from the uninstall events where we see those and run those. Basically, it's like you said, it's push notifications mainly for re-engagement then. But and it's like more of a testing. We haven't really found a very solid way of repeating the success, and when do we see that we need to bring the players back immediately, or how long, and what do we value? And actually, it's easy.
Has the focus changed though, in terms of sort of since the ATT framework came in? Has the focus changed?
I can't really say it would. It's just that we are running the tests and seeing the things as we did already before that. So I can't really confirm that. No.
Fair enough. And Gabi?
Yep, I will focus on paid re-engagement or paid remarketing. So it's pretty dead on iOS. It's pretty hard to target devices nowadays on iOS. So it has an impact, of course. But as I said before, it's an opportunity because now without the capacity to exclude existing users or previous installs, you need to think on your creatives also as a re-engagement tool, maybe, because you are approaching a broader audience and a lot of times existing users. So you need to think what game are you marketing? What are you doing marketing for? And think about the creative strategy. Maybe sometimes to have a broad approach and a broad message in the creatives, but sometimes it may be a good opportunity to showcase some of the live ops that you have on the game. Even for new users, you will be anyway approaching existing users on iOS. So yeah, there are a lot of. I always choose to pick the opportunity and to see the opportunity in the changes that we have in the market. And yeah, that's my take on re-engagement, paid engagement.
So when we're talking about sort of emphasis to different business units after privacy's come in, how about re-engagement? Cross-promotion, sorry. I'm on the last question already. How about cross-promotion? Has your strategy towards cross-promotion changed much since the ATT framework's come in?
Yeah, I think companies in general or developers need to learn on how to leverage the data that they have, the first-party data. So cross-promotion is indeed an opportunity. It's not easy to execute as it sounds. So it's a process, I guess, for many companies. But I think all of us are iterating and improving our cross-promotion capabilities and trying to do it in the best way possible. Of course, for us marketers, we love the idea of having deterministic attribution on cross-promotion, or in most of the cases, an iOS, which is very tempting and very nice to report. But there are a lot of challenges out there as well. So yeah, I would suggest to invest some time and efforts and money internally for every game developer and to try to learn how to leverage all the information that the companies have opposed to the past, in which the platform had more data than developers. Right now, maybe changing, and I think there is an opportunity.
Excellent. Mikko?
Yeah, one thing that we learned over the past 4 years was that if you're using mediation tools for the cross-promotion, it will get very difficult. Usually the quality of the users is not that good. I mean, you have to compete with the commercial ads there, and the kind of costs will skyrocket for you, and the kind of traffic that you're getting might be even non-payers, everybody, since you're not showing all of the ads to payers. So we have kind of been building our second iteration of our own cross-promotion tool now for a few years, and we're running tests on that, and the results seem promising. What comes to ATT, then again, naturally, for example, we're lucky to have huge organic amounts of installs there, so naturally we need to leverage that for our other games also and the coming titles. So it is a kind of a no-brainer to as a whole issue, but it has some. It's not that easy, especially with the mediation, kind of the services that that provide your house ads there alongside with the commercial ads. It gets really hairy really quickly.
Okay, and Antti?
Yeah, for us, we've had a few things happen simultaneously. So while ATT did kick in, at the same time, we also decided to deepen our relationship with our mother company, which of course is Zynga, the mobile gaming arm of Take-Two. And Zynga has a wide variety of different game studios. So we have, for example, Rolik and Peak and Gram and Social Point, all of the above, who are, of course, also representing millions and millions of installs, millions and millions of user identifiers. So with that in mind, it also makes sense for us to really double down on cross-promotion, not only because of the privacy changes, but also due to the organizational changes that we've been having. So with regards to that, on Apple specifically, because you can't, for example, transfer IDFVs through different companies. Where our games are now published by Zynga, so that we are able to
only have so many IDFVs stored on one Apple account, and
exactly,
there's a lot of limitations surrounding it.
Exactly. So that allows us specifically, at least, to tap into a wide pool of user data that is already in house, but now also to our disposal. So definitely has been a byproduct of ATT, sort of that. Again, coinciding, but definitely made that decision easier for us.
Yeah, okay. So when you're looking at producing new games, and how do you take the learnings from the old games and apply them to the new ones? Is that something that you can do every time, or is if you're moving from category to category, then or genre to genre, then you may find that the performance is completely different. But is that something you do?
I guess my answer will mostly be pertaining to the marketing side of things, because obviously on the game design side of things, you'll have a lot of different learnings, like how to operate a live game and this kind of thing.
Sorry, I meant completely on the marketing side.
Completely on the marketing side. And I'm also not the best person to talk about the game side. That person's over there. What I would say is that each game is kind of its own beast in terms of we, for example, have two match-3 RPG games on the market. One is Empires and Puzzles. The other is Puzzle Combat. They have a very similar sort of core game mechanic, but on the marketing end, they have completely different needs. Even though they're both RPG games with character collection in its core, and there's a puzzle metagame. But at the same time, the audience is different. The approaches you need to take are very different. And we've definitely learned that during soft launch, during global, during just operating a live game, where the other might really benefit from certain marketing strategies, like being more aspirational in ads, for example, while the other really focuses in on the gameplay. So there are core things operationally as a UA team that definitely go over. But from creative point of view, there's really something you need to learn case by case.
Amazing. Mikko?
Yeah, I would maybe say that it's the benchmarks that you get from a successful title if you have one. I mean, you can naturally with the new game you don't have that much content, but at least you have something concrete data-wise to kind of mirror stuff and see whether you're on the track. Are you falling behind already from the successful numbers, or are you perhaps topping those? And you know that you have a great game at hand, even with that little content there. Other than that, I guess it is as hard for a bigger company to come up with a new mobile game success as it is for a smaller companies.
And those benchmarks you would take from your existing games.
Yes, exactly. And that's the role for the existing games, and how we can benefit from those. So we have all the LTV data, we have the kind of cohorts there, and we can kind of compare. I'm talking about the UA perspective here, from the UA perspective, not from the game dev. Like Antti said, there are a lot of things that you can do most likely on that side, but yes. But yeah, benchmarks, but the reality is that it is hard, like, to come up with new successful titles, regardless how many successful titles you have done in the history.
Gabi?
Yeah, it's hard to beat the benchmarks of your most successful game, usually. So that's it by itself. But I don't think I have something interesting to say about this, but just to stick to an assumption, like assume something and then try to stick.
I'm trying to walk the fine line between being able to hear you and not deafening everybody out there. Sorry. Carry on.
That's it.
Okay. So, I guess, all right, we're getting low on time, so I'm gonna ask something that I've got a personal interest in. With everything that's sort of changed in the world of marketing at the moment, what are your concerns moving forward? What are you thinking about? What's the next thing that you've got to work on? Antti.
Spending more with a lower CPI and a higher IPM.
I mean, that's the dream.
That's the dream. But no, I'll maybe piggyback on my first answer, which is just continuously finding more sources, more efficient ways of operating things, be that with new tools that may or may not be provided by our MMP, or if it's new tools out on the market, new networks, what kind of things we could learn from the networks, because that's also an important place to learn things, which is not only co-developers and other people in events like this, but also there's a lot to learn from the ad networks that you work with, the partners you work with, the measurement partners you work with. But that's probably the main thing, is just to continuously learn more. And for me personally, having a team and making sure that the team has all the things that they need, making sure, because we're in a people-based industry anyway, at the end of the day, so making sure that we have all of the tools, all the data, all the time, the power that is needed to make good decisions.
Out of
That's the main
interest,
thing.
the channels that you're looking at expanding to, are they outside of traditional performance marketing? I mean, are you looking at other avenues? I think you said earlier about connected TV and stuff. You know, are these? Does this now open the door to be thinking more about that sort of stuff?
I'd say that door has been open for a few years now. For us specifically, it would be connected TV. It would be influencer-based marketing. It would be not even connected, but just TV. And a lot of different things that kind of have existed in the mobile landscape. But we, for example, have noted that that's not necessarily our core competency, but it is something that should be due to the privacy-related changes or other changes in the industry.
Sure, excellent. Mikko?
Yeah, and I mean, the business has been kind of changing forever. It's kind of a constant there, and whenever there is a change, there is also opportunity. So maybe one concern is, for me personally, is that which of the changes are the best opportunities and which to attack? Because on a daily basis, you just don't have the resources to know basically everything about everything. So kind of pinpointing the stuff, whether to push for the privacy changes and kind of trying to change basically the whole company culture into trusting more holistic way of seeing UA results both on Android and iOS, or whether you should examine the possibilities that maybe there is one day, or there already is other ways than just 2 stores to sell your product. But like there are. The biggest concern is to like kind of where should you? That's the kind of gamble that you have to do. Like, what is it that you attack? Like,
Fair enough. Yeah, choosing your battle.
Yes, choosing the battle.
And Gabi?
Yeah. Okay, I don't think that I'm concerned about the changes, but I'm more concerned about having enough time to read and learn about the changes. So for me and for my teams, because changes are good, right? And they will continue to happen, but it's increasingly hard to have enough time to iterate and to read and to learn and to test. So yeah, I would prefer to have like less changes every year for a longer period of time.
I think everyone
But,
would.
yeah, but I'm not concerned about changes. I'm more concerned about global warming, but not about changes in gaming.
Bet you didn't expect to hear that on a mobile ads panel, but here we are.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. All right, last question. Other than In the Sandbox which is my podcast, and Winning in the Nordics, which is the AppsFlyer Nordics podcast, what sources of information do you go to? You know, what's your, for anybody out here that's in user acquisition, what sources of information do you trust and do you think do you look at on a daily basis?
For me, at least, is a lot of peer feedback, peer review, not only within Zynga, the various studios that because we're obviously in a quite precious situation that we have that to our disposal, but then also listening in on, for example, other industry Slack groups that have a lot of UA-related things, product-related things, everything that we can just like soak up as a sponge and try to think about, okay, if this would be best practice, how would we do it? Think about things critically and really approach it from there. Events like this, for example, now that they're finally re-emerging. In person, potentially, but also online, why not? And then grabbing basically every and any conversation with people that you see as verifiably an expert, with really just understanding, because there's a lot of material out there that we can follow.
Cool. Mikko?
We do share quite a bit of news articles in our company Slack channel, and if we notice something and know that which team is handling that, so quite easily we kind of just share information. I think Deconstructor of Fun is a good podcast, for example, and yeah, the kind of venues like this, happenings, talking with other industry professionals. Usually, I think the most trustworthy and kind of genuine information you can is here right now. For example, just to talk with everybody and share your own information, whatever you feel or know something. So those are great discussions always.
Awesome. Gabi?
Yeah, probably the most valuable resource is talking with friends, talking with colleagues, and of course there are a lot of podcasts, non-podcasts, and newsletters. But I still find talking with friends and colleagues the most insightful source of resources. And yep, that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Oh, spot on time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us, and thank you to everyone for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for being both interesting, insightful, and also brief, which is ticks all the boxes. Thank you.